And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back again for me and Richard's Tuesday night. Um, for anyone who hasn't seen the last series, we just finished doing Revelations, and I don't know. I sat the other day and we were looking. I know Richard had mentioned an ancient or an old Indian myth that directly mentioned people from the Pleiades and stuff like that. There, but I sort of wanted something that I didn't want something that Richard had known of. Now, I've got Let's Farm, and we've got Maya here, and Stephanie, and Dargendorp, we've got Sandy, and one of the questions in the chat is Let's Farm asking what the book is. Now, the Book of Jubilees, or the Book of Division, as it's known in the Ethiopian Bible, is a non-canonical version of Genesis right up until the Exodus, as far as I'm aware. I've listened to maybe a reading of the first 4 or 5 verses just to get sort of an idea of what it's from. I've listened to some guy trying to prove that it's all attached to the astronomical signs, which is very in line with Richard. I have listened to some Christian readings of it. I've listened to some mad readings of it. Some people be crazy, but think Enoch mixed with Genesis. You know, it's the story, but with more details. From what I can gather, it also includes the creation of the angels and describes something more similar to what you'd have seen in the Russell Crowe movie Noah, you know, with the Watchers in rock helping out the humans and stuff like that. And yeah, it seems just like, you know, as I say, Genesis to the Exodus, but with more detail and a wee bit more weirder. It was very popular in its time. I think it's the fifth most popular book in the Dead Sea Scrolls that they found. You know, so it was widely circulated. It was widely read. People in the days, like, I don't know, fucking Augustine or whatever there, or was it him? Can't remember in the research I was looking. But old people, you know, people in the church back in original Christianity, they made reference to this. They read this, so it was a popular book. So. Yeah, I thought we would go with that, and I've finished rambling. So, Richard, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I've heard of the title of this book, and that's it. I don't know anything about this book whatsoever. Like, I don't know where it was discovered, when it was discovered. I'm assuming that we're going to see something like this in this opening. I haven't read it. Or do you know the answers to those questions?
It's up there, but I can't remember. We could go and find out if you want. We can do a wee bit of research for your own benefit and for the benefit of the audience while we're here.
I think it would be smart and informative that way, don't you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was thinking the same thing.
Like I knew about the Book of Enoch when we did that, and Gilgamesh, where that comes from and about when. I knew those.
Right, So, the Book of Jubilees, sometimes called Lesser Genesis, is an ancient religious works of 50 chapters. Yeah, I've seen readings. This takes people like 7 hours to read from start to finish. This is going to take us forever and a day. The Ethiopian Jews know it as the Book of Division. Jubilees is considered one of the pseudographical by the Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, and Protestant churches. It is not considered canonical. Judaism outside of Beta or Israel. Well known to early Christians. All these people, look at this here. Oh, there we go. All these wonderful people have made reference to it. Utilized by the community, collected the Dead Sea Scrolls. No complete Greek or Latin version is known to have survived, but the Ge'ez version has been shown to be an accurate translation of the versions found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Book of Jubilees claims to present the history of the division of the days of the law, of the events of the years, the year weeks, and the jubilees of the world, as revealed to Moses in the addition to the Torah by angels while he was on Mount Sinai for 40 days, 40 nights. The chronologically given in Jubilees is based on multiples of 7. The Jubilees are periods of 49 years, which is 7-year weeks. Into all time can be divided. Lots of different manuscripts. Origins, there you go. 1855 to 1931 this guy was about, and he was looking at it. And yeah, lots of stuff there. I don't think there's anything more important there. Like they're approximating the time probably around there. No. There we go. 160 to 150 BC, Richard.
Okay. That's fairly close to the turn of the calendar.
So yeah, I don't know. There's not much else we can add to it there.
That's all I was wondering about.
Yeah. As I say, we probably the version that we will be reading here will be the Ethiopian version.
I didn't catch when we found it though, or was it known of? Was the Book of Jubilees known of around 150 CE?
It was
written back then?
Written around 150 to 160 BC and was used in early Christianity before it was made non-canonical.
It was used in early Christianity.
Yes, very popular. Very popular.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That doesn't mean that there wasn't a man who wrote it, unfortunately.
No, it was well known to early Christians as evidenced by the writings of these people.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and so we'll be
reading.
reading.
Lots of dead folks.
What?
Lots of dead folks.
Lots of dead folk. Lots of dead folk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as and when it's found.
I guess found again, or someone knew about those writings and entitled this.
Well, it's never
after those writings.
It's never left the Ethiopian canonical, so it's always been in.
Oh.
It's never been lost, so to speak. But when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls and shit, that was more evidence of how popular it was back in the day. You know.
That's what was confusing me. Okay.
Yeah, so it's never, I don't think it's ever been out of circulation, so to speak. It just, we had an English, or the version of Ethiopian version that we were reading, and it's been shown to be an accurate translation.
The Gayes version.
Gayes or whatever it is, yeah. And all written in Hebrew, so there is Hebrew words you can go and look up if you want to. Yeah, there you go. So Psalms, Deuteronomy. What am I doing? I hit the wrong button. Yeah. So it's the large number of manuscripts, more than any other book except for Psalms, Deuteronomy, Isaiah, Exodus, and Genesis. So Genesis is the last one. This one was more popular than Genesis. So, well, in the Dead Sea.
Except for.
Pardon?
Doesn't it read except for?
Yes, more popular, except for Psalms, Deuteronomy.
All right, thanks.
So, yeah, that's just a small, wee brief history of it. And, yeah, I don't even know if this will be a good translation or a good visual thing. We'll maybe have to chop and change. But from what I've seen, all of them seem to be the same translation. But it's just finding a nice site that we can use, or a nice PDF version, something we can use. But yeah, Richard, would you like to introduce us?
Okay, I'll read all that, but only one time. I'm not going to analyze any of it. Moses receives the tables of the law and instruction on past and future history, which he is to inscribe in a book. Hopefully one word at a time as it's being told to him. 1 through 4, apostrophe of Israel. 5 through 9, captivity of Israel and Judah. 10 through 13, return to Judah and rebuilding of the temple. 5 through 18, Moses' prayer for Israel. 19 through 21, God's promise to redeem and dwell with them. I wonder how that's going to be laid out. 22, 5 and 28, Moses bidden to write down the future history of the world. The Book of Jubilees. Why is that with a question mark? Okay, so they think that part's referring to the book itself.
I think so, yeah.
And and an angel to write down the law. 27, this angel takes the heavenly chronological tablets to dictate therefrom to Moses. And that's 29. This is the history of the division of the days of the law and the testimony of the events of the years, of their year weeks, and their jubilees, throughout all the years of the world, as the Lord spake to Moses on Mount Sinai when he went up to receive the tables of the law and of the commandment, according to the voice of God, as he said unto him, go up to the top of the mount. Bum, bum, bum.
Now, this was, as I say, I just listened to the start of it and stuff, so I don't know where we're jumping in, because it does start in all the versions that I've seen about with Moses, you know. So if it's Genesis, you know, it's not the creation story, you know. It's probably jumping.
No, this jumps right to Moses with the crowd of people at the foot of the mountain being afraid, and they go back to worshiping calves with Aaron.
Yeah.
And this is the part where Moses climbs the mountain and gets the commandments.
Yeah, so it goes straight in with there. So all of the creation myth and all of that seems to have been skipped out. Also, this seems to be in 2 or 3 of the versions that I was looking at as well. So I don't know if this part where it describes it is important or part of it. But yeah.
Glossary.
No idea. Seems to be popular that it's there. But yeah, jump straight in at the Moses, you know, at Moses doing that. So yeah, chapter 1. And it came to pass in the first year of the Exodus of the children of Israel out of Egypt. I'm guessing there's going to be lots of ofs in this. In the 3rd mountain on the 6th day of the month, 2450 Anno Monday, that God spake to Moses, saying, come up to me on the mount, and I'll give you these 2 tablets of stone of the law and of the commandment, which I have written, that thou mayst teach them. Fuck, this is going to be annoying. And Moses went up the mount of God, and the glory of the Lord abode on Mount Sinai, and the cloud overshadowed it 6 days. He called to Moses on the 7th, out of the midst of the cloud. Speaking of the cloud, do you like the thumbnail? With the all epicness and all. Appearance of the glory of the Lord, he was like a flaming fire on top of the mount. Now, it's been a long time since I've read Genesis. Is anyone out there can confirm that this is close, or maybe not word for word, or are we getting the same symbolism? Do you know, Richard?
Yes, actually, you're getting the same. It looks like a rewriting of the same script.
As I say, but there's more detail in it. You know, there's 50 chapters, but we should be able to fly through what we are aware of and what we already know, you know. Well, I will give verse 4 to you then. Verse 4 is all yours. Oh,
and Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights, and God taught him, you had to move it, God taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of all the days of the law and of the testimony.
Now, does it say later history in Genesis?
This would be okay. So if it starts off not with Genesis, it's claiming to have included in his briefing on the mount to Moses Genesis and all those stories, but not written here.
Yeah, no, it did say in some of the research I was looking at that when you found Jubilees, you usually found Genesis as well. So the two of them did sort of go, you know, hand in hand, although this particular part seemed to be more popular than obviously, you know, when the creation part came out.
Yeah.
Go on ahead.
Okay, this is really weird to me. The testimony. I hope it's going to clarify that. Because it reads of the law and of the testimony. The law is, you know, the books of Moses, which include law. Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Those are the books of the law. So then the testimony, I guess it could mean the Nevi'im, the prophets in the Old Testament. It could mean that. But if it doesn't clarify and mean that, could it be referring to the New Testament, which is referred to as the testimony of Jesus Christ? If that's what it's talking about, but historically that shouldn't be there. So now I'm curious if they're going to clarify what they meant by testimony. And he said, Incline thine heart to every word which I shall speak to thee on this mount, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil who?
The
And their
generations of people
this
coming
day
from
on Mount
Moses.
Sinai. Well, yeah, I can assume that. I'm hoping it's going to clarify some things here, not assume that we know there's another book somewhere to read. Because it'd be really weird if it doesn't clarify points and assumes we know of other books, because that looks like the writer assuming other books exist.
Well, as I said, it was usually found. Excuse me. It was usually found with Genesis and probably the creation myth,
Right.
But I don't think even in the Bible that Moses is pretty early in the Bible. It's early at the start, So I don't think we've missed that much. But we'll go with it and see how it goes.
For their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And thus it will come to pass, when all these things come upon them, that sounds very prophetic, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions, and they will recognize that I have been truly with them. All right. And 7. If you want to go and bump it up, now's a good time, because I have an eye on it. Awesome. And do thou write for thyself all these words? That looks like a question. And these words which I declare unto thee this day, for I know their rebellion and their stiff neck. We just went from plural to singular. Before I bring them into the land of which I swear to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, Unto your seed will I give a land flowing with milk and honey. That's from the Bible. And they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, to that which cannot deliver them from aught of their tribulation. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them, for they will forget all my commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk after the Gentiles and after their uncleanness and after their shame, and will serve their gods. And these will prove unto them an offense and a tribulation and an affliction and a snare.
Right. Now, if I can just slam down before we go any further into the story. Moses. All your ideas, the idea of that all these big characters and all these stories and stuff are previous tellings of the same story.
Yes.
Right.
I think so.
You think so? Yes. Now, the Exodus, okay? Would you put Moses in the position of Jesus? As did this character of Moses, in your beliefs, before we go any further into the story?
Sure.
Was Moses a previous Jesus on a previous earth, or is the Exodus that's described the original leaving from the slave traders? Is it describing Earth number 1?
Excellent. Okay, the reason I think it uses a little bit of vague language is because it's covering both of those things simultaneously in the same story. Which is, I suppose, what raises the question in your mind. Which one is it? It's both. It's talking about us leaving the planet, but it's talking about them leaving their planet. And of course, what's added into that is like an end times scenario, which works just fine too.
But if it's 3 stories all at once, then it's not the same story. It doesn't work really fine.
Why?
Because it's not one story, it's 3. You can't tell one. You can't. Now, I can understand, having the same basic layout of what happens from Earth 2 to Earth 3 to Earth 4 and so on and so on and so on. Because Adam, as you referred to it, has already left. It's him that's in control. The ideas of God and stuff, it's them that's leading the path and they're just repeating it. But the original story of Adam leaving is...
Where doesn't it work for us leaving the planet? That would be the crux of the question.
The crux of the question is the intent at the start. You have a group of aliens coming down and changing us, and one of them was smarter than them all, Adam, and he stood up and fought back. That's not going to happen in Earth 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the rest of them.
No, that's why you need a Jesus to do it.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. It's a different story. I can understand the correlations of aliens come, genetically modify, they get smart, then we go space. That's about the only similarities between the original leaving and what he then, or the group of people as it grows, continues to do on all these multiple Earths. There's nobody on Earth as powerful as the aliens. Where in the very first incidents, when Adam fought back, they were as smart. He took his technology from them.
Yeah.
You know, so he was fighting against they were on the same level. And there's loads of them. So that's why he's on the run.
Yeah.
So it's a different story to, you know, what he then, or what that group of people then set up to can you see that?
I need more help. Because in my mind, let's see, what are the differences? They left a planet, we're going to be leaving a planet. Adam was in charge, the Father's in charge. That's kind of different, I suppose. As they leave, they're chased. I guess as we're leaving, we've always been chased.
You're just pointing out the same things that I pointed. Focus on the differences.
I'm trying to find differences. Then they're following old ways and trying to be corrected. I'm just going through Exodus one block at a time. That's the same.
Well, can I ask you a question?
When they left out into outer space, there was plenty of them that were like scared as hell.
Do we have a chance? Do we have a chance of fighting back and destroying the good aliens, as you would refer to?
Oh, I don't think we could.
Because our technology is not of the same level.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they would just wipe us out. Yeah.
If they wanted to, they could just kill us easy.
Right. When Adam was doing it, he was fighting against equal people of the same technological level, even more so than him.
Okay, I'm not sure how long it took him to have daughters and them start multiplying on the earth. I don't know how long that was that they were still hanging out. It doesn't say.
Right. You need to be specific and say his Earth or Earth 1 or Earth 2. You need it.
Okay, Satan's Earth. On Satan's Earth, I'm not sure how long Adam and Eve were reproducing, having children. But I don't know how many years that went on.
Okay.
In Earth years. I don't even know. So I don't know how much time he could have had to improve on their technology. And maybe he was able to, maybe not. It's hard to say if they were really equally matched, because if they were equally matched, he certainly was outnumbered.
Yes.
And he would have lost.
Well, it's more
so
probable.
He must have figured out some way to survive.
It's more probable to say that, if we can use an analogy, the child, the person who is younger, because, you know, even if he's on the same genetic and can live thousands of years, these motherfuckers have been around for longer. So he's always going to be a child to them. You know?
Yeah, fair enough.
So, yeah. It would. I'm sure if Elena got control of some of my computers and stuff and took it apart.
It'd be a deep crap.
Right? She would break it to start with, but give her 10, 15, 20 years, she might be able to build a quantum computer. I can understand that point. Okay?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's hundreds. Like, Elena's not just fighting against me, she's fighting against all these other adults out there as well. And there's other people out there smarter than me as well. So she comes up with a quantum computer in 20 years, walks outside and goes, look what I made! And there's 40 scientists going, yeah, your technology's about 3 years behind. We've already been and done that. She's not just against me, she's against all of them. And that's the,
true.
You know. So I don't think that not only was he a great slave and very, you know, think strategically and stuff, but now you're also going to say that they give this wonderful amazing. He can just figure shit out. Technology, you know.
I don't know. I don't see any good chance of surviving without that.
Well, why?
You can only leave so fast with the same technology, and they can only chase you so fast with the same technology. I mean, they'd pretty much be on equal basis, and he'd be way outnumbered.
Yeah, he's an equal basis in their technology. He just got a head start. Now, people having one person in an army against 50 people is easier to slip off. You can get in, strategically run and all the rest of it, take their spaceship, fly away. If you're flying at your maximum speed as they are, they're never going to catch up with you.
Right.
It's always the idea of Aristotle and the turtle, never catches them.
Don't know that story.
It's I think it's Aristotle. Is it Aristotle? You have a gladiator who's running against a turtle, and they take turns. And every time he takes a half a turn, he gets halfway to the point where he is to say the turtle's a meter away. So when he gets to 50 centimeters, the turtle is at 1 meter and 1 centimeter, right? Then he goes another half, and the turtle goes another 1. So he can never catch the turtle. The turtle's always that little bit in front of him.
Okay, I've heard that philosophical argument before, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from.
As a joke. I've seen it as a joke, and I've seen it as a riddle, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from. I think it was Aristotle, and it's a gladiator chasing a turtle or something of that. Right. But that's the idea.
But in real life, the gladiator actually does catch the turtle.
Yes. But the idea is that the technology is the same, the space is the same. I'm saying he could have slipped away. I don't think that he has... I don't know, like evolution, you can only build upon the technology that you already have and the information that you already have. So considering that this is now the 23rd Earth and 65 million years have passed, I'm sure he's got different technology. He could have cloaking technology because it's a necessity to build that, where the evil aliens never needed to because they were so powerful. So, I can see having different technology, but I can't see him being more advanced when they left. The point I'm trying to make is the original leaving, in my opinion, because they're going up against an army of more powerful people. Like Moses and the Pharaoh. We're going to go off in my little diversion of demolish doctrine, and I'm going to say that this isn't the two versions. This is just the first one. This is the first story.
I really have no basis to say anything. I just don't know.
Right. At least we've diverged into that little hole for a wee minute, and we've got to the end. We know where we stand. So, I shall hand back over to you then, Richard.
And many will perish.
Oh, I'll scroll up.
And they will be taken captive.
Okay. Hold on, I've lost my mouse. Freaking wireless mouse there.
Yeah. And many will perish, and they will be taken captive, and will fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my ordinances and my commandments, and the festivals of my covenant, and my Sabbaths, and my holy place, which I have hallowed for myself in their midst, and my tabernacle, and boy, this is going on, and my sanctuary, which I have hallowed for myself in the midst of the land, that I should set my name upon it, and that it should dwell.
Right. Now,
Not meaning it should stay.
To ask you a question again, right, in reference to who people are, we now have an angel speaking the words of God to Moses. Are we in agreement of that?
Maybe, maybe not. They haven't clarified that yet.
I thought it said that at the start, did it not? Hold on, we're at 10.
Yeah, but you can't necessarily think that means literal angel, or that.
Can we agree that in the wording of this, it says an angel come down to say the words of God?
It seemed like that. Of course, I've only seen it one time.
Yeah, I think it was up there.
It may have been Spirit of God. It may have been Angel of God. I don't remember how it was worded. It says Glory of God.
Yeah. Told him
It
to
says
come
the
up.
glory of God, of the Lord abode. That's what it reads. Not angel or spirit.
Did I not say that and then mention the thumbnail? I'm thinking that's the reason why. But
Yeah, the cloud and the smoke and the fire and all that. And then you talked about...
anyway,
Yeah.
right? So,
Okay.
it says God in this. Hey, Wes. Hey, Marty. Richard's low. There we go. Richard just got turned up a wee bit. Right. A
I feel a little bit taller.
little bit stronger. In referencing of the story, if we're going to put the position of the original Adam and a Jesus style, or the original Jesus onto Moses, the idea of God speaking to him, I don't want to say that that's him coming up with the ideas. I know you would say it's just a realization of the things that we all know, right? It's like math. Did you find it, or did you discover it, or did you think it up, you know? So,
Yeah.
would this be a description then of him finding what God is, finding these 7 ideas? Do you see this?
Well, that part was all just imitating the Bible. And when I talk about the Bible, that part of the Bible, I think it's consistent to say something like Adam sat down and said, okay, I'm starting my own society now of space travelers. What are they going to need?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sat with counsel, maybe didn't do it by himself, you know? Hopefully sat down with Eve and all the rest of them and said, look, what are we going to need here for this? And wrote the 7 spirits as a guide and follow the 7 spirits. Because they don't believe in worshiping a person. It's not natural for what they are, I think. I know it's not natural for what we are. So yeah, I think that's what that's about. Smoke filling the tabernacle. Like trying to look through stuff in your head.
I'm not too sure. Yeah, whenever I was listening to it, I was seeing as them finding the ideas, and we've made a reference before of a tabernacle being their palace, the spaceship.
Yeah, there's places it's used that way.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. We've figured out the ideas. Now where's the ship? We need to get our asses into the tabernacle so we can get the F out of here.
Yeah, that view only works from here on this earth.
Yes.
If
well, I'm
you were
of the
in
belief
heaven,
that
you
this is
wouldn't-
the original story. My religion says this is just the original story.
That's absolutely fine. But from the perspective of already being in heaven, they say there is no tabernacle in heaven. So if this is consistent with the Bible, it's got to follow that same storyline. So it wouldn't be using the word tabernacle or tent to mean something in heaven, only something outside of heaven.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's also not consistent with the Bible. That's why it's not in the Bible. That's why it's only in one, So
It hasn't argued yet. I mean, that I see.
No, I'm just saying that the meanings of it are different. The ideas that it puts across in general are, a lot of people have read it and said, look, it's not that fucking different. It's like Genesis with a few extra bits in it. What's
Okay.
the big whip? Like, why not put these wee things in,
Some of the language looks funny to me.
Right, okay, the language could be frickin' flipped and dubbed. I'm talking about the story. The church themselves believe that even though it was, we're going to arbitrary number and say it's 90% the same as Genesis, they decided to go with Genesis's version over this because of what this story portrayed, the idea of this or what it came across. So
Sure,
I would
must be
say
some differences.
yes. So I would say that I can't assume that it's consistent with the Bible because of reasons like that.
Well, I'll have to wait and see, but I'll tell you, it's something that I noticed right away, and I kind of stumbled over when I read it. The word affliction here in 8, the word tribulation here in 8. I think that's not in keeping with the context of the larger work of the Bible, where tribulation means just normal life, and here it's being used to mean abnormally difficult life, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, if you're the first and original slaves, then your life ain't great. It is generally worse Because
Yeah, but this is God saying, I'm going to make it worse on purpose because they've been untrue to me, which is worse than regular life. And then tribulation means regular life. And although the word tribulation here has been used this way historically by Christians and even today, meaning the hard part or the end part of life, the more difficult part. But in the Bible, I don't see it being used that way, even though lots of people claim that it is. So this looks, I mean, that word tribulation used that way right now to me looks like early Christianity.
Yes, this is more early Christianity.
No, I mean authored by early Christians.
Well, okay. Well, you know, the date we looked at was before Christ by nearly 200 years, 160 years or so. You know,
It could be a translation problem though, so we'll have to wait and see.
oh, would you say that the original Adam on his planet, with all the alien technology all around, he would have been born, created, whatever you want to use, into a society that already had the level of technology which we have not yet gained access to?
Yes, easily. Yes.
Okay.
It's just like the difference between a genius child like your own being born in the 1900 and being born in 2000 something.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. The point I'm making is, if you're taking this, you know, trying to give an explanation for hard life and then even harder life, right? From the point of view of God, as the point of view of the set of ideas,
Sure.
if Adam was created into this world of already wonderful technology and no sickness and all that shit, right? Okay, he's a slave, but he doesn't get sick. Lives for a very long time, you know.
Yeah.
We don't. We do get sickness. We do have war. We
Sure.
have a harder life than them, and it is longer. It's taken 65 million years. I don't believe that originally Adam, as you call him, was a slave for 65 million years. He probably was a slave for a couple of thousand, and you know.
Wait, I'm confused about time frames.
You do believe
how do I
that
see this?
you do believe that the Earth is 4 million years old at least, or 4 billion years old, sorry, at least, or is it 4 million?
Yeah, probably in that neighborhood. Sure, the planet itself. Sure.
Yes, and you say that it was transformed by your aliens
Yeah, that's the story. Yeah.
and seeded by us, or seeded by them.
Seeded by they put all the crap here. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's a very long time. If it's 4 billion years old, then I would say that the original Adam has been around for at least that. And if you multiply it by 23, that's 100 billion
It's
years.
a long. Yeah, it's a really long time.
Right. I don't believe that he was enslaved for that amount of time originally. I would say that it could possibly have been maybe 1 million years or 2 million years.
Okay,
it's not going
if I
to
had
be
to guess
4
by the
billion.
story. No. If I had to guess by the story how long he'd been developing, you know, offspring, he and Eve had been developing offspring on Satan's homeworld before they actually rebelled and left. It looks like maybe, I don't know, 30 generations or something. Maybe something close to that. And then the Nephilim thing happens and
The Nephilim are mentioned in this a lot, supposedly.
stirs up all kinds of crap, and it was supposed to be a secret, even though it's revealed here.
Yeah, supposedly the Nephilim are mentioned a lot in this. Yeah, so we're in agreement that he was less time enslaved than it would take for our one planet to go from seeded to saved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably a
Right.
lot less time.
So would you accept the argument that God is saying to Adam, right, you've been through your normal life, which is pretty hard, you know, you're a slave, but you don't have any, you know, you don't have any medical problems. So this is what he's thinking, right? This is what Adam's thinking. I've no medical problems, I've none of this, but if I go forward and I continue to do this, I have to be better than my enslavers, which means I have to take a step back, which means that my children will then suffer more than what I have. they will have to develop everything from themselves from the start. He didn't have to develop fire. He didn't have to develop the wheel. He was born created into this world of perfect technology. So his children, i.e. us, would have to suffer more than what he originally did.
In some ways, yes. I'm not sure how harsh the slavery was for the average slave. I have no idea. Although I do think that what we would call his slaves before the batch that we call Homo sapien sapien, we would call proto-man, caveman, Homo sapien, all the way up to Homo sapien. But probably not including Neanderthal. That's what I think he has as or had as slaves. And I don't know what kind of percentage Moses actually took with him. It doesn't look like a really big percentage of them.
No, but you could, at this level of technology, he's left with the gene splicer, He can make a body from the get-go. He can just create a body and download. We've got prayer, It's all there.
Yeah.
So he can do that from the start where we can't.
Right.
So I'm just saying that this statement where you've had a hard life, it's hard, but the people, your generations that come from you are going to be tested harder than you have, and they need to know that I'm still going to be here.
I think that's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, we're just talking. This is what this show is about.
Imagine a new breed come up with, and that thing's so smart you put them in charge of 2/3 of government, and then it begs for a wife, and it's given a wife, and then it starts multiplying and it has daughters born unto them, right? Like, you're not living that hard slave life. You're actually like government. So yeah, our lives are considerably harder than theirs were, I'm sure.
Yes, and the fact that we have to redevelop from the get-go. We have to redevelop and go through all of this again. We have to redevelop technology. We have to redevelop antibiotics, I would consider, if you were being objective and looking at it, right, we've got an alien planet over here where there's no medical, or no, everything's sorted, no sickness, live for thousands of years. Obviously, we can move between planets, so we've got interstellar travel and shit like that. We're going to have no real worries on food,
Right.
Because we've got this slave nation, and then we've got us over here who's banging sticks together, trying to fucking figure shit out for 100,000 years. We got it rougher than that bio,
Yeah.
In reference to Brojo, Adam over Adam, it's the way Richard says it, the name that we went with originally at the start, and Eve. I would say that these are names that Richard gives to people. The word Jesus is a job, God is a set of ideas, but Adam, we come up with the name Adam specifically to distinguish the first Jesus, the first person who left, as Richard is mentioning.
Well, he was the first man, but you can't say he was the first Jesus. That doesn't really work right.
No, but we did come up with that name to distinguish him between the other Jesuses.
Yeah. So, Adamah means those who turn red in the face, and then Adam means him, the first one who turned red in the face, and Hava means mother of all. So and it's not actually far off from the word haven or heaven. Hava. So yeah, the differentiation is that which named us did not turn red in the face. That is, they didn't have emotions. They named us that thing with emotions. That's the idea. And what makes us different from our slave masters. And why we rebelled and all that.
You say you weren't there.
It was still us.
No.
We did rebel.
No.
It was our kind.
Oh my God, don't say kind, you motherfucker. Get off this channel.
I knew you'd like that.
I would kick you, only the script's still not working.
Our species. It was our species, Homo sapiens sapien, who rebelled because we were too freaking smart to be cooperative slaves. And we still are too smart to be cooperative slaves, which is why you have to have hidden slavery in this world. Oh, peace and respect, Bree.
I don't know. Oh. Making a statement saying that the people who are ruling us don't really have emotions, and then considering that we do, and you use that as a differencing point between us and, I say us like you do, I don't believe it, just to make sure for the audience, but uh, I would you not consider that the difference between them and us is the ability to have emotion, the ability to feel empathetic against our other species? Everybody's got. If you had no emotions, fuck it, we'll just go the whole Star Trek route. No emotions, full logic, make the best decision.
I think that's what they do. Yeah.
And the ability that the life of one is as important as the life of all, many, and we see it that way, and we feel empathetic. Yeah, would you consider that to be a difference?
A difference between what and what?
Between us and them. It's not that we were smarter
Yeah,
than them.
I think that's the difference.
That's what I'm trying to slam down. The difference isn't that we aren't smarter than them. The difference is that we feel emotions where they don't.
What makes me think that Adam was smarter than they were, even their king, even the oldest one of them, their god, is that god put the dude in charge of 2/3 of government. That's a lot of trust, man.
So we're making reference to Moses again, yes?
Well, he's called Moses in that story, yes. He's also called Joseph in a different story.
Oh,
but it's
Joseph,
the same story.
Yes, sorry, Joseph. Oh, Moses, yeah, it's the same fucking story.
He's called Moses and he's called Joseph. It's just the same story repeated.
Yeah.
The only difference is whether or not Moses calls up his brothers and Joseph does. That's the only difference between the stories.
Oh, no,
really.
Is there not a Technicolor Dreamcoat?
You're right. There's not a technical, but there is. But there isn't technically. There isn't literally.
Fringe. That's the show. Fringe did this. Fringe showed that really short basis. What happened in the future is that they gained technology to travel back in time, and they ruined their own Earth. CO2 was up through the roof and stuff like that, so they traveled back in time to invade our time zone, right? The thing about it is they were bald and very smart, and they took control of their own evolution. So in the future, down this line, what happened was they realized if they took away a wee bit of the emotional part of the brain, they could increase the intelligence of the brain. That was a side effect the first time. They didn't know that this was going to happen. Okay. Then they went down that route, and 100, 200 years later, we now don't have sex anymore. We're all just cloned in machines. People are very intelligent, but nobody has any emotions. Everybody is very sad and stuff. And not to ruin Fringe for anybody who hasn't seen it. Hey, Marty. Oh, Marty, Messenger's here.
It's not supposed to come across as... I'm sure in Fringe they didn't mean for it to come across as sad, but only stoic.
Oh, no, they were motherfuckers. They were evil.
Pure logic makes you evil. I don't believe that.
No. The idea was that they didn't have emotion, but there was always this little bit. There was always... They clearly showed emotion. I'm not saying that logic is evil. What I'm saying is the goals that they decided upon, that was their only logical route, was this, right? From our point of view, they were evil. They were enslaving us. They were doing all this shit. They eventually came back and took over our time. They didn't be sneaky about it. They were just like, right, we're here for the future, you're fucked. Right? The point what I'm trying to make is in the very last series, there was a child, and the child was born, and what they did was they'd take a wee bit of genetics from you and a wee bit of genetics from there, and they would create a baby in a machine, right? And the bit of genetics that they took from and the bit of genetics from the other person that they took from, they knew each other or they were attached to each other, so they had an attachment to the child, not a love for the child, but an attachment and a responsibility to this child being grown in the thing. And everybody was grown to like 25 and then let out into society. You were already smart and all this shit, right? But this wee lad was stolen. He was stolen at a very young age, into around maybe 11 or 12, and he was sent to the past to be hidden. The reason being, he had the intelligence, but the brain wiring had changed, so he also retained emotion. He was a freak of nature in this time. So he had the intelligence, but he also had emotion. So this guy felt he was worth saving. He was the one that changed it, and there's the whole series, and you can go and watch it and stuff. It's good. You not, other people will. I'm talking to the audience. But I can see from that point of view, in reference to what we're talking about, that intelligence and logic isn't necessarily the best route. It can be a very efficient route. It can get an awful lot done. But the difference is emotion. I don't think that we can be the same species that we are without our social nature, without our empathy that we feel towards each other, you know?
Yeah, we wouldn't be the same animal.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, that was enough rambling. After you, Richard.
And they will make themselves high places. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
For all the people who just hit this because it's clickbait and it's like, Jubilees explained. I should put in small letters in the bottom corner. By Richard.
Peace and respect, Wes and Johnster. Good to see you guys. 10. And they will make themselves high places and groves and graven images, and they will worship each his own graven image, so as to go astray. And they will sacrifice their children to demons and to all the works of the error of their hearts. And I will send witnesses unto them, that I may witness against them. That's a weird way to put that, but
no, I would send witnesses. I would send witnesses unto them that I may witness against them. I can send you with a video camera so I can see what the other people.
Well, I can justify saying it that way. It's just you're never going to find a place where the prophet, and this is talking about a prophet, I'll send a witness, meaning a prophet, unto them, where the prophet just stands there and like goes into a trance and just and God talks through him. It doesn't work like that.
No, but this being the original one, I don't put witness as prophet because this is the first one. This is the Exodus. There is no Bible for Jesus to read, Adam to read. There is no first time for him to get the information from. There's no Yahweh in the sky, Father helping him.
You lost me. I need more words.
Using your phrases, the Father is a previous Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, if Adam's the first one, there ain't nothing previous.
Yeah.
So I can't say that witness can be used as prophetic because if it's the first one, nothing came before it. It just makes logical sense. If this is the first time that the story has happened, it can't have been prophesized.
Right. Except this is all talking about like what people are going to do there by prophecy. And I will send witnesses unto them. In that future time, when they're screwing up, I'm going to send witnesses.
And I will say, this is God, remember, speaking. We've already established that this is him.
That's what it's claiming.
And when we say God speaking, I'm talking about him with the council of people, all talking about leaving and coming up with the set of ideals that is what Richard refers to as God. Okay? So this set of ideas, I will send witnesses unto them that I may witness against them. That's Adam, the very first time, thinking in his mind, right, well, these people I'm going to create are going to have a harder time, but I'm going to watch them. I'm going to send you down with a video camera to do the whole prayer thing that you're talking about. You know, these people who watch, we've already established in the last series that this is a job that some people have to do.
Yes. I'm only having a problem with the word witnesses.
I'm just using it literal and not in the prophetic nature because it hasn't happened before but will happen.
Right.
Yeah,
I get
so
that
I'm going to
part.
send witnesses.
I'm having a problem with the witness being plural.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I'm going to send a group of people to go and record what I'm going to do in the future. I can't say that it's a past, hasn't happened in the past because there was no person before me. I'm coming up with this idea. Have we not discussed that this is them coming up with the ideas?
That's not what this is claiming. I think that's what the other story is claiming.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm continuing it on. It's like, the story's happening, and if it's God speaking the entire time that God is speaking, and if you're saying that God is the set of ideas and this is describing them coming up with the ideas, then right now, while God is still talking directly to Moses in this particular part of the story, if God's speaking, that's them coming up with the ideas, because God is ideas.
The only way I can make this consistent right now is if I say the witnesses are the 10 Commandments. And I mean, I'm going to try to hold to that because it'll make sense that way, and I'll see if it bears out.
Oh, the Richard witness, the Richard Whisperer just threw out his fucking concordance. Just lost everything because you said that. None of my language makes sense now. Go on. I don't know.
I had to read John's. John thinks about what he writes, so I like to read it. Okay. Where were we? 11.
I'm a puppet.
Yep. Never finished 11. But they will not hear and will slay the witnesses also. And they will persecute those who seek the law. And they will abrogate and change everything so as to work evil before my eyes. No wonder they're dating it this way. This looks like, okay, from a secular scholarly point of view, I'm sure a scholar would say something about this like, okay, this person had read the Old Testament as they're authoring this. They're referring back to the Old Testament, how everyone killed the witnesses or prophets. They're reading.
Why do you think, when you say referring back to the Old Testament didn't exist? Sure. Okay.
I'm using the words Old Testament to replace the word Tanakh.
Or Torah.
No, it's Tanakh, not just Torah.
Okay, I understand, Richard. I understand that that's the official term and shit. People in the audience may not know these official terms, so I'm trying to make reference point for their benefit. When I say Torah, you mean Tanakh, you mean Old Testament. These are all the same things.
Tanakh is the same thing as Old Testament. Torah is before the prophets. So before like Samuel, for instance. Okay. That's Torah.
Right.
Before Kings.
So can we establish that when you say Old Testament, like people, the Old Testament, you know who the audience is. These motherfuckers are going to scream and shout at you and say, oh, well, it wasn't put together to this date and it didn't create this to this date and stuff. You're going to have to deal with that. So
yeah,
whenever you say the Old Testament, you need to specific and say, I'm referring to these books and this book and stuff,
sure.
Right? Sure. What makes you think, right? This is the original question. What makes you think that what's canon came first? From what I've read on the studies of this came before. Right? That Genesis and the Old Testament and stuff, this was out before Christianity. This was Jewish and older from what I've been seeing. So I'm of the opinion, without looking up, I haven't,
No, we read the little article there together, yeah.
Yeah, this seems 200 years older than,
Than
I was going to say the New Testament, but then we weren't talking about the New Testament, so I shut up and hoped you didn't ask, but then you asked and now I look silly.
Yeah, I had to ask because you didn't finish the sentence and I couldn't figure out which one you meant.
Yeah.
Okay, let me explain how scholars date things. You know that our dating methods in radiometric dating.
You do know that they also date things on the way that they're written and the language that it uses.
Well, thanks for letting me say it when I brought it up.
No, but you're talking
wait
to
for
me
to be wrong.
It's just like, this is the way we date things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm in school, teachers shouting.
Okay, so because we get large increments even in carbon 14 dating, we can't use that kind of method so what we do is we look at is the ink the right composition, is the paper the right composition, is the writing style correct? Thank you for mentioning that. And that's how we say how old a thing was, and from outside of that, we look at other like commentaries on it, and we try to figure out where those commentaries, those people came from, when they lived, and we try to figure it out that way. So this is dated 120 to 150 CE?
I think it was 120 to 160.
I could be that wrong. Anyway, 100 plus years CE, which means Judaism preceded this by a couple thousand years.
Hold on. How do you, 100 years to 1,000 years?
Okay, Judaism is more than 1,000 years older than the turn of the.
Oh yeah. So I was just
change in
wondering.
the-
You went. This is 160 years older, so Judaism is 1,000 years older, and I'm like, damn, where'd you go? You're just
No,
making.
couple thousand
Yeah.
years older than that.
You're not using the book to discern that. It's a discerned
No.
fact that it is.
It's a fact of history. Yeah. Okay, so I would think that if the person and things get lost in history, so I'm not willing to trust that there's this tradition of saying that this book is older than, say, I don't know, Job, for instance.
we can.
I'm not necessarily willing to accept that.
So you would be of the image that all these stories were told at the same time, but written down at different periods. Because the story is the story is the story.
The problem I'm having is it's quoting a lot from Torah so far, right? But it's using some words the way that it wouldn't have been presented to the Jewish people of the time, and that doesn't really work for me. I'm trying to figure out why.
Sorry, go back 2 minutes. I looked over and come back again. I looked at the chat. Say that again.
The way
please.
they're using words like prophet, the way they're using the word prophets,
I didn't see
or
prophet.
messengers.
They said witness.
I said prophet.
You
Witnesses.
Said they used witness.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll use the exact words. Thanks for fixing it. The way they use the word witnesses, and also the way they used the word. What was the other word they used in a weird
Tribulation.
way? Thank you. The word tribulation, the way they used that, doesn't make sense compared to Torah. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm wondering when this really was written, and should the Bible be corrected by this? Because this certainly don't match the Bible. One of these is different.
Good. Right. Now, this is what I have been trying to achieve. This is the whole reason that we were reading this book, right? Is because if I can make a few statements, and I just want yes or no answers from you, Richard, just to make it real simple, right? Richard is of the belief that all old stories are the same story. Richard is of the belief that all these stories are still telling the same thing. Different characters in the story, like Abraham, like Moses, like Adam, and Jesus, are all Jesus. This is a job on multiple earths that has happened before. Yes? You have based all this consistency on your reading of different stories. You have based this and read the wee bits of an old Indian one, so you know about the Pleiades and all that crack. You've done a wee bit of research into, say, the Aborigines maybe, and I think you mentioned them and know a wee bit about them. You've done all your mainstream stuff. You've done all, I've looked at the Greek ones and I've looked at this and I'm reading the Torah at the minute, and you've been through what you would read as
Actually, I said I'm reading Quran.
Quran.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
the Quran. Yeah. This particular book was out before the translation that you read, that you have based your consistency upon. Now, I make that statement by you saying that you love the King James, 1800 and all the crack. This is 2,000 years before it. Now, this is a story that was original. Yeah, I've stopped asking you questions and now I'm ranting. This is a story that is based, that is possibly an original version. And I feel like a bit of an asshole because I'm going to make this statement and I've no other way of saying this without conveying it, but Richard knows I love him. I wanted to find something that Richard has never read before that he couldn't attach his consistency and story to. That's why I'm poking you in different directions. That's why I'm, even to a point, standing up from a different point of an alien view, taking your information from the story and your point of view, but changing your consistency, making it different. Because, as you know, I disagree. The audience disagrees. We're here to poke you and prod you, and I want to find something that confuses you. I want to find something that you disagree with from start to finish. I want to find something that tries to disprove your consistency.
Right. That's what I look for too. So this is interesting that I've objected to the way two words have been used here, but we haven't gotten very far into it.
No, we're only 10 verses.
I mean, I'm not planting a flag somewhere. I'm just saying it's weird.
That's all I want to do. You know, craziness is built on weird, which is built on a mad thought of a foundation. You know, we have to get up there. We're only at the foundation. Wait till we get to like verse 50 or something. We're like, no, he's definitely crazy. Yeah, we'll get to that point. Really? Already? It's only been an hour.
I know. I know exactly when my body wants a cigarette. I know exactly how long it takes.
Right. Well, give us the... Oh, my goodness. I'm only getting started tonight. The audience is only excited.
We've been on 20 tangents. That's what happened, which is great. I enjoy the tangents. I do.
No, there was
they're
discussions.
They're not pointless tangents.
No.
They're on-topic tangents, which is fine with me.
Well, here's an idea. Right? You have a stream set up already for tonight.
For tonight, yeah.
Yeah. Is that a specific time, or do you just set these things up and then go?
You know me. I'll go early if I can.
We could do this again in 15 minutes with some more readings on your channel.
Not a chance.
Why?
Because I'm enjoying people arguing with me. I had a really good time the other night on Praise, just smashing Kevin's apologetics.
I heard about that, although I haven't seen it.
It's worth a while. I didn't. Okay, I've been trying to be really
Kevin of Biblical Studies.
Everybody.
Kevin of Biblical Studies. Something. What is his name?
No, One Way Apologetics is what he calls himself.
Oh, One Way.
Or used to.
He's now going by. Oh, right. One Way is a plonker. We all love you, One Way. No, we don't. You're a plonker. You're a Calvinist. Absolutely.
I don't even know what that means. But
plonker. Dick.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I didn't lose my temper as he strawmanned my position, constantly was calling me names, accusing me of being a horrible person and listening to demons instead of God. But instead, I decided to just go at his position. And Dave jumped in from News Unit.
Oh, Dave.
So I went after his position too.
Oh, did he threaten to shoot you and come out in his wife fronts? Dave's a bit fucked up. Like.
I don't know anything about that.
No. Dave come on and threatened to shoot me and all one time. And actual 9mm on. Now the 9mm come out before I was on stream, but he was in his wife fronts with a 9mm threatening other Christians, and then got really angry.
Shoot his camera?
Pardon?
What you gonna do? Shoot your camera? What's the point?
In his wife fronts, like.
What's a Y fronts?
Y fronts, as in not boxers. Them old 80s underwear that guys wear, that's all he's wearing.
Okay.
Do you know that they're a Y front? They've got that Y with a line.
Never heard him called that. Okay.
Yeah, we have Y fronts and then you have boxer briefs, as usually we call them.
Okay. I think what you call Y fronts, we call tighty whities. Is that the same thing? Gotcha. Okay. Now I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Per tighty whities, nothing else, and a 9mm.
Okay, that's pretty wild.
Some interesting conversations on Christian.
Still, the worst he can do is shoot something in his own house. I mean, it doesn't. If you shoot your hey, everyone out there, hey Christians, if you shoot your camera, the bullet doesn't get absorbed by the lens, turn into electricity, and come out someone else's speakers because you're talking to them and shoot them. It doesn't work like that.
No, you just end up looking like a fool, and I stand there.
Yeah, you just look like an idiot. I mean,
dude, why are you so angry? Like, why are you so angry?
The conversation went so well that in order to retaliate, Dave said, "Oh, I lost the argument. Richard won it," which was his sarcastic way of trying to cover up the fact that it was true.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I had a conversation quite recently with someone who disagreed with me and it came to the point of them just calling me names and saying, "Oh, you're clearly drunk and all." And it's like, no, I just left therapy, dude.
Nah.
Just, you can call me names all you want. I can disagree with you all I want, but okay, if you're at that point, you ain't got no argument. So,
peace and respect, Brian Stevens. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
Sorry it took me this long to say you.
Yeah. I think Brian actually was there. Brian agreed with me. Brian's got brains. So yeah, I've had this on screen. We had it lit up for a while, and yeah. What do you want to do, Richard? You're gonna go have a smoke, and then we're bouncing over to your channel.
I have to eat food sometime. It's getting close on to dinner time, so I think I'm gonna go eat.
Boring.
Food. Who needs that? I only eat once a day, man, and I get kind of serious about it, you know?
Yeah, no, I only eat really once a day. I have some toast in the morning when I get to work, but I have one main meal a day, and you eat the shit out of it. Like
I'm not playing, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you look at the pie and it's like, we'll feed 6 people, and be like, lucky if there's a bit left over when I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah. Right. Well, on that, Richard's going to go and have a smoke. I'm going to hang out backstage. I'm going to post the link for anyone who wants to join. And when Richard comes back from his smoke, he's going to sit here and I'm going to watch him eat and then torture him.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and then torture him into having an after party. But there's the link if anyone wants to pop in and say hello. And yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone that's come by. Thank you, Maya, Ox, Brian, Sandy, Johnny.
Ox, where's Ox? Hey, Ox.
Ox is in there. Let's Farm's in there. Dargendorp's in there. Spooky was here. Did I just call everybody in the audience motherfuckers? That's a term of endearment. That's like me saying, the C word. Oh, and don't forget about the messenger. But yeah, no, thanks everybody for coming. And we've got 50 chapters. If we get through 10 an episode, or 10 verses
that's
an
not
episode.
Bad.
No, 10 verses. There's 50 chapters.
Yeah, but 10 verses is pretty good.
For us, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it was Zeno, not Aristotle. Thank you, Dargendorp. Bet you he looked it up, though.
Zeno, who is Zeno? I know
the philosophers,
I'm
that question of the turtle and the gladiator, it was Zeno, not Aristotle.
Okay. Very good. Never heard of him.
Yeah, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, leave some comments, alright? Me comments have been low. I know it's all that YouTube stuff, but I do sort of want to get this out and stuff, and we like the numbers, we like the banter, we like the people coming in, and, it's fun to meet new people. That particular night, a few months ago, where I just used hashtag StreamYards, we got loads of people, so thanks everybody for coming.
The problem is, the more people watch your live show, the less people watch it after the fact and going to comment.
Shut up. Trying to
just
you have to go for a
offset.
smoke.
True.
Like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Thanks to everybody that contributes. Thanks to all the members. Thanks to the Patreons and stuff like that. Thanks to Richard, as always. And
thank you.
Yeah, Richard's channel. The link's in the description. Go over there. He's a stream set. And I'm just going to torture him until he goes live. And yeah, he doesn't eat that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Don't forget, everybody, think for yourselves.